Welcome to Voiced. Today's post is from subreddit Petty Revenge by Carter PB, and it is about a hilarious tale of how a city construction project served up some sweet, petty revenge on entitled residents who chose to ignore clear signage about a road closure. Construction on my street reminded me of this story today. This is more a tale of petty vindication on my part, but you could also consider it a second-hand retelling of how my city got their petty revenge on hundreds of entitled residents. Anyway, some context. I live in an apartment that is solely accessible via one road, which we'll call Drake Redeed. It is one of many complexes and small businesses that are connected to this street. While Drake Redeed is not particularly busy, it does connect two much busier thoroughfares. Additionally, there's a large elementary school right on the corner where Drake RD connects with one of those much busier streets I mentioned, so a lot of parents use it to drop off their kids in the morning and pick them up in the afternoon. Lastly, it's worth mentioning that Drake RD runs parallel to a small creek, and there's only two places it actually bridges this creek: at the very beginning and at the very end. Now, a couple years ago, we had record-setting rainfall in the spring, and it became evident that the culvert that allowed the creek to run underneath Drake RD near the elementary school was inadequate to deal with this level of flow. To my city's credit, they were quick to authorize a replacement, and construction was slated to begin that December. I was once again impressed by my city and their communication of this project to the nearby affected residents. Not only did we receive a physical piece of mail informing us of the coming construction and its timelines, but the city put up a huge, bright orange sign in September on the side of the road where Drake Rudy begins, informing passing traffic that the road would be closed in December. As December drew closer, more and more construction signs appeared, all of them mentioning road closures and advising detours. I counted no fewer than 6 in the half-mile stretch of Drake Rod between Hollywood Ave, one of those aforementioned busy streets, and my apartment complex. At the time, I remember finding the amount of signage almost comically overkill. I thought, surely the city can't think people are that dumb, right? Oh, how wrong I was. Now, I will admit that my city has had an abundance of construction lately, and many residents were fed up with it. Or perhaps they've just grown desensitized to the construction signs. With that said, this bridge replacement project was not some simple roadwork, something that one could just, let me just squeeze by ya and sneak past, based on the flawed logic that they were special and they were exempted from the posted warnings for some reason. When the construction crews rolled in at the end of December, right on schedule, the first thing they did was completely demolish the existing bridge. Drake Rudy was completely disconnected. The bridge that used to be there no longer existed, replaced by an impenetrable wall of heavy construction equipment and flowing water. Drake RD had been effectively turned into a dead end, and with the creek taking a sharp 90-degree turn in this area, there was nowhere nearby to cross. And you might think, surely people would not ignore the excessive amount of bright orange construction signs leading up to the road closure, some of which had been posted there for months. Surely they'd have planned for alternatives in advance. Surely this construction project wouldn't have taken them by surprise. Yet, those first weeks in January were pandemonium. Every morning, as I walked out to my car at 8:30 a.m. to leave for work, I would see a line of cars down the road, bumper to bumper, stopped dead in their tracks. I am not sure if they were so entitled that they simply assumed they'd be able to bypass the construction, or so monumentally dense that they somehow missed the 6 neon orange signs warning them that the bridge was out. But without fail, I would see dozens of annoyed parents every morning who seemed surprised that their route to drop their kids off at school didn't exist anymore. Drake RD is already a pretty narrow street, and at the time, people were allowed to park on both sides of it. One side has since been turned into a fire lane, so there wasn't a lot of room to maneuver. So, as each disgruntled parent reached the front of the line and realized that the prior signs hadn't been posted for decoration, they had no choice but to do an awkward 5+ point turn to turn around and head back the way they came with their tail between their legs. Alternatively, They could attempt to navigate the labyrinthine streets of the nearby neighborhoods in order to find an alternate way through. But I can speak from personal experience that the web-like network of nearby roads is quite difficult to navigate if you're not familiar with the area. In any case, any who found themselves presented with the construction would no doubt have to add 5 to 10 minutes to their commute as they either backtracked or found other ways around. And it was glorious. I have a particular distaste for people who don't think construction warnings apply to them, so witnessing this every morning for a month filled me with joy. I'm not a construction worker, but I would wager the guys working on that construction crew probably got a kick out of it too, as I can't imagine they'd take too kindly to people driving through their construction site, even if the bridge wasn't demolished. Anyway, after a frankly disheartening amount of time, people finally figured out that the bridge wasn't going to rebuild itself overnight, and they started finding different routes through the area. That said, in the coming months, I would go on to witness so many people reaching the construction site and having to do the multi-point turn of shame, something that never ceased to amuse me. And yes, all 6 warning signs remained until the project was completed. As for the bridge, construction actually finished ahead of schedule, and the new and improved replacement was opened a few months later. Traffic has since resumed its normal flow, but sometimes I can't help but miss how quiet our neighborhood was during that time, or how fun it was watching as people made fools of themselves because they apparently didn't know how to read. Well, folks, that's our Reddit post for today. Ignore the signs, do the time. Definitely an amusing slice of life tale, and an important reminder to always pay heed to construction and detour signs. For those of us who live in cities, construction is a part of life, you know? And as we've learned today, sometimes the universe has its own way of teaching people the importance of paying attention to warning signs. If you've ever experienced something similar, or have any thoughts on how this situation was handled, drop it in the comment section below. And keep an eye out for those bright orange signs next time you're on the road. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Reddit story reactions. Until next time, peace out. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Voiced. If you enjoy daily high-quality stories, please like and subscribe to show your support.